Calling the meeting to order. First up is the approval of the agenda from October 13. Has everyone had a chance to, or excuse me, no, I'm sorry, the agenda for tonight is the first order of business. Any additions, comments, changes? All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yep, I'll move. I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next up is the approval of the minutes of October 13, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, do you have any changes, comments, questions? Any discussion? All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? The minutes from October 13 are approved. The next item on tonight's agenda is the public forum. If there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak on a related topic, now would be the time. And I see two guests, but I believe you're here for the next item on the agenda. So any others? Okay, hearing none, then we'll go on to the next item on the agenda. Report on Ames. I think we're going to do that under here, I think. Report on Ames, A Glimpse Inside event by Sharon Worth.
I know you've heard this from me before, but I'm going to say it again. Please use your microphones. I cannot hear you even in the front row over here, guys. So anyway, nag, sorry. But I do want to say something a little off topic first before I start. And Ray emailed me today and talked about his retirement. And so I just want to say a few things. Ray and I have kind of an unusual connection in that we really have been working together on historic preservation issues since he came to work for the city of Ames. Long time ago, but we have trudged through a lot of things together. And so I certainly want to recognize his commitment to historic preservation. Historic preservation has moved a long ways since those early days. When he first came, we were still working to establish the Old Town Historic District. So Ray has really been through all of the issues of establishing the district and seeing it created, seeing design lines created, working through those initial and many more certificates of appropriateness up until today, seeing things like you all submitting the nomination for the Chautauqua neighborhood for the National Register. So a lot of things. He's fielded a lot of questions from me over the years. I will say always with kindness and with grace, even when I wasn't agreeing with him, which was happening sometimes, as he could tell you. But so I just wanted to take a couple minutes to recognize him and also to say, Ray, I've been retired for a few years ahead of you here. And I just want to say there's still stress in retirement, although I think it's not as much as there is here in City Hall. But chocolate is sometimes good to relieve stress, so I brought you a little head start.
Thank you very much. I like chocolate too.
Okay, good. I wasn't really sure if you were a chocolate eater, but
Oh, yeah.
I was willing to take my chances on that. All right. Let's move on. I brought another handout for you. I understand you had in your packet our event summary. Pass this down. I am going to use that summary as kind of an outline as I talk tonight, and add some more things as we go along. As the summary says, the inaugural event was held on October 18th, 2025, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we chose locations in the Old Town and the Main Street National Register districts. Seemed like a likely combination since they were right there together. There were 10 properties that were officially opened. I want to, at this point, recognize the HPC and their involvement, which were really, really critical. So I want to call out some individuals. One of those is Kate Gregory. Another is Davon Lewis. They joined Shelley Orngard, Alex Fafor, and myself, Jason Dietzenbach, Jason Dietzenbach and myself as the main organizers. So we spent many hours together, as any of them would attest to, I'm sure. And then the day of the event, Bob Ewald and Melissa Goodwin served as volunteers for the event too. So all of that in addition to the funding that you allocated to us. So the Historic Preservation has had a significant involvement in the event. And so we wanted to just highlight some of the things that went on and give you some additional information. So in addition to those 10 properties that were open free of charge to the public, we also sponsored free admission at the Ames History Museum. The Ames History Museum, as you can see from that brochure, was one of the 10 locations. So we sponsored free membership or admittance at the museum for everyone on that particular day. So the event goal was really to create a fun, exciting event showcasing historical architectural resources within the community, while at the same time raising awareness and appreciation of these resources. We really wanted people to know more about the historic resources in our community, and that was really what brought the group of 6 of us together in the very beginning, was the feeling that we have a lot of really significant historic resources here in Ames, and perhaps the awareness could be higher than it is. So that was our big goal, to help people learn about some of those things. And I know that education is a goal for the commission also. We wanted to really get people inside places where they might not ordinarily go. And we thought about that as we chose locations. For example, we had an architecture firm on the list. Most people don't walk every day into an architect's office. So we thought, let's get some people inside to one that has been really beautifully renovated and restored, and get some people in. In fact, we had people commenting, oh my gosh, I walk past here all the time. I've never stopped in. So I think they were very appreciative of that. Another example was the Ames Post Office. And while some people go to the post office frequently, although not as many as used to, many people there are not aware of that historic mural that's on the north wall. And we wanted people to learn more about that. And then the post office staff was willing to offer behind the counter tours. So that was, I think, a really bonus for people in Ames to really get behind the counter and see what happens after they drop that letter in the slot there, or leave it off for the mail carrier. In fact, the post office had the second highest attendance of the 10 locations. And we heard from many people about those tours. Another thing we really wanted to focus on was how the older buildings can be adapted to be useful today and into the future. Many people see an old building and say, oh, think it's old and tired, but maybe don't have the vision to understand how it can be transformed into something that is really useful and valuable today. And then we wanted to connect the people and the history that went with the properties that were open. So you see that in the brochure here, when you open that, information about each of the 10 locations that were involved, and that was very important to us. In addition, at each location, we had a storyboard based on that location and the history and the people that were tied to that particular property. I brought these two here today, not tied to any specific property, but we also wanted to continue in that education theme, and we wanted people to have a little bit more background about the residential historic district, and that's the one with the green over here. And then also about the downtown business district. And actually, I want to give credit to Jason. He created 3 storyboards about downtown. So it really was a nice overview of the development of downtown from the very beginning that you see here on to the time period when the architecture changed so significantly, and then up to today and some things that are happening. So those were all displayed at the Ames History Museum for people to take a look at there. Just some statistics for you. As we went along, we did have a volunteer with a counter or clicker at each location, so we could get some sense of how many people were attending. So we are estimating about 275 participants, which we were really excited about for a first-time event. We had clickers and we thought, oh, we'll count, we'll get the highest number and we'll know. But really, we heard so many people as they went from location to location saying, oh, this is the only location I can get to, or I can only go to 2 of them. So we felt that probably whatever that highest number was not really an accurate number as much as we would like it to be. So at any rate, the highest number really came from the Ames Tribune. And so that was very interesting. As you all know, it's a building that is empty now. But the Nelsons have done some work on restoring it. They're looking actively for the right tenant so they can finish their project. So for that place, we actually created 3 storyboards because we really wanted to give them more history and more things to look at when they were in the building as they went there. We had 32 volunteers participating on the day of the event. And so that was wonderful. They came diligently to a prearranged training time. So it wasn't just that they were working on the day of the event, but they had to put in some extra time and come to some training. And then we emailed them some homework on the location they were going to be at so they could get familiar with the background and things for the particular location. So we estimated that we probably had 110 volunteer hours just on the day of the event, actually, as it all came together. I mentioned the storyboards and our focus on education. We felt that was really important, and I know that really fits in well with your goal and missions as a commission. You might think these take a lot of time, or you might think they don't take much time, but I'm here to say they take a lot of time. Sometimes the history on a location is fairly easy to find. Other times it's more difficult. So when we started looking at how many hours, again, just an estimate because we didn't keep a journal or anything, but probably over 250 hours of research to put the group of 16 storyboards together. A lot of that was done it was all done actually by the 6 organizers, and I want to call out here in this case Alex Fafar, who is staff person at the Ames History Museum, because he was just amazing in helping us pull together. the things that we needed to do. 16 storyboards were produced in addition to numerous promotional pieces, one of which is a brochure that you have in front of us. We received some pretty positive feedback about this. People were telling us it was easy to use, it was great information to know. They loved the map, so we were pleased with the response we got to that. Again, just an estimate. Probably the 6 of us as organizers spent over 80 hours of planning meetings. So again, we started in probably February on this event and worked through probably up till the night before, always trying to get all of the number of details in mind. It really is a lot of work to pull off an event. I don't know if any of you have been involved with event planning, but there's always something more to do as we went along. So that came along quite nicely, though, I think. And it was a wonderful group of people to work with. We had a budget of just over $6,000. We were very fortunate in having a grant from the Discover Ames group, and those people, together with the Historic Preservation Commission, were our 2 major funders. We also had a nice contribution from the Old Town Neighborhood Association, and then several private citizens contributed to our budget. So we really feel like there was some pretty wide community support for the event. I know that you all allocated money from last year's budget and money from this year's budget. Am I getting my years right? I'm trying to think here. But at any rate, I'm here to tell you that we did not use the funds, your funds, from this year's budget. As we went along, it looked like we could accomplish what we wanted to without using that extra $500 that you had allocated from this year's budget. So just keep that in mind, because I want to talk more about that in a minute here. What did we learn from this? We did 2 surveys, and I have a third one to send out. We wanted to survey attendees, we wanted to survey volunteers, and the third group we need to survey are the hosts. So we did accomplish getting some input from the attendees by kind of bribing them in a sense and saying, oh, if you fill out our survey and give us your email address, we're going to award some prizes. We'll just draw some prizes. So again, we were fortunate enough to have a little flexibility in our budget to be able to do that. So we had a total of 46 responses coming back, asking them about 6 or 7 questions. The first question, what did you like most about Ames, a glimpse inside? Interestingly enough, 76% of those people said learning new things about Ames. So we felt really good about our educational efforts. As you saw, if you have read through the brochure, we always were including on the storyboards, but also in the brochure, information about the history of the location, but also information about the architecture, because we really felt that that's a very important part of the history of these locations. Excuse me. So we really focused a lot on education as we went along. Let me look for the next highlighted information here. Okay. The last question we asked was, what additional comments would you like to make? And we received a lot of very positive comments there. One of them was, this was a really fun event. I'm so glad it was put on. I hope it continues. I really enjoy this event and would love for it to be an annual event. Everything was done so well. Please repeat. This one I thought was very interesting and wanted to share with you. It was great fun. I've only been in Ames for 3 months, so it was good to know more about it, and especially about the downtown. We were really happy with the event. And we had been, as we went through the process, saying to ourselves, would we do this again? Would we indeed make it an annual event? But certainly by the time we got our questionnaires back, and people were so enthused, as they talked to us the day of the event, we thought we surely should make it happen again. So we are moving forward in that vein. Let me stop there and see if you have any questions, because I've been rambling.
I was wondering, how did you select the 10 places? And is there another set of places on your list that you might add to that? Or what is the sort of the criteria that you want to utilize?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for asking that. We really started from the beginning wanting to include some commercial and some residential. And that was always important to us from the beginning. We did do some research in the very beginning about events in some other cities. Open House Chicago, for example. We looked at the events that they were doing in Minneapolis, and actually did do a Zoom meeting with a staff person from Chicago. And that was very helpful to give us some background. And then from there, we tailored it to Ames, Iowa. So as a group, we talked about, yes, what would we have involved in the open houses? And so that was brainstorming about, well, what historic buildings do we have that we think people would like to see that maybe they don't usually go into? Like, this is probably one of them. A lot of people don't come to City Hall. We knew we wanted some residential locations. Some people, very, very understandably, were not willing to open their homes to 275 people or whatever that magic number was going to be. So, and then again, like I said earlier, wanting to give people some different kinds of experiences. You can't just walk downtown and walk in the Tribune building these days. You may be used to do that if you were going there, or maybe not. But, so pulling together those kinds of things, looking at projects of recent renovations and restorations, and putting together what we thought would be a good mix. And yeah, we kind of have talked about some things for next year already. And I won't say any more than that because we really haven't finalized anything. But one of the people we talked to in the very beginning was Lynette Pullman from Iowa State University, University Museums. And she said, wow, this would be a great thing to do on campus. So at some point, we may try to do this kind of an event on campus and try to get some people over there into some of their historic buildings. So I think in Ames, there are lots and lots of possibilities. They may be in an established historic district. They may not be in an established historic district, because we certainly have many, many historic properties that are not in a historic district. Other questions?
I think I have a comment,
Yes.
if you'll accept that. Just from the kind of volunteering perspective, I volunteered for a shift at Potter's Shop, an eatery, and I think it was really exciting to see the people who were coming in there, and some of them were coming in to eat, but some of them were coming in to eat and to like start their tour and all of that. And I did hear a lot of feedback about people who were excited about the potential to continue this year after year. And I think I just really appreciated the opportunity to kind of participate in an event like that. And unfortunately, I had other things going on later in the afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to tour the post office, but I heard that was the hot ticket item, and I wish that I can sometime in the future. So yes, for another year.
The post office was very interesting because, for security purposes, they were doing guided tours. It wasn't just drop in and make your way around. And so that complicated things a little bit. And we did say in our brochure what those times were. So sometimes that resulted in some pretty large groups, which created some challenges. Yeah. All right. Well, I have some questions for you. First question, and really would like to have some discussion here and exchange of conversation. Do you feel like the Historic Preservation Commission would be involved in 2026 if the event were to continue?
I think it's an excellent thing to support.
Anybody else?
Well, I think it certainly fits in with our goal of providing education about historic preservation. And we've got a 2026 work plan discussion on the agenda tonight, and that would be a suitable topic for that agenda item.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that because really do feel like it just dovetails so perfectly with your mission and your goals. Frankly, I can't think of a better event to help you achieve some of those goals. So I mentioned funding earlier. And so this particular time there was $1,700 allocated from last year's funds. And so that is the funds of yours that we used. Those were used pretty specifically for purchasing some easels. We purchased 20 easels since we had storyboards. We purchased clickers, counters. So we purchased with your funds some things that can be reused again as we do the event again. And that was important for us. We spent a lot of money, majority of our money, frankly, on at the print shop, doing promotional materials. Maybe you saw the banners that were on the bollards downtown. And certainly for the brochure to do that. But save the date postcards, a number of other things also went into that PR package. So as you might expect, the question for you is, would you consider using some of your funds for next year to help with the expenses? And perhaps you'll talk later in your work plan about this and about what amount those funds might be. I'm going to have to skip out when I'm done because I have another meeting to go to. So I apologize. I'm not able to stay for your discussion about the work plan because I think that would be very interesting. We will start soon with our planning for next year. You probably all know that when you're doing a grant application, the match is almost always at least 50%. So we're going to have to start getting our ducks in a row pretty soon if we want to be applying for some grants. So I'll just throw that out at you to think about and hopefully blend into your discussion at this meeting or perhaps the next one as you mull things over. And so we will be very eager to hear from you in terms of funding and what amount you feel might be allowed to go into this particular event. Because I do recognize that you have some other things that you work on also. Other comments?
Think if I can throw one thing in there, one thing that might be helpful for us is understanding for, and obviously you're still working on it, but budget for next year, if it's comparable to this year's budget, because I know when we contributed money this first time, you guys were kind enough to share the budget with us so we could see what our impact there was. But yeah, and not saying you need to provide it now, but within the next month or so, as we continue to work on our work plan and budget for next year, if we can see, if your budget's growing as the event grows, or if it's about the same, and kind of what those numbers look like, then we can have a good idea of how much to contribute to that and the
Absolutely.
amount of impact that we're making on that budget. So
Absolutely.
that'd be beneficial.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I was the person who chaired this group, but I also at this point want to invite Shelley or Devon or Kate as part of the organizing crew to put any comments or questions out there that they might have.
I think to the budget question, I worked a lot on the budget, and I think we anticipate the budget next year would be in that same ballpark. There are some things that we consciously tried to acquire so we could reuse them. We learned some lessons about where we need to maybe make more things next year and make fewer things next year. You calculate in some inflation, I would guess our ballpark, and if we plan to do it the same size, which we've talked about because some places were pretty overwhelmed with 200-ish people. I think our budget would be in that same ballpark.
Cool.
Anybody else?
Not about the budget, but
Okay.
certainly I hope that we have your support and participation next year. It really was gratifying. I guess I should come up.
Yes,
with
you should use the microphone.
Shelley Orngard. And yeah, thank you so much for all your support, both financial and in time and suggestions. It really, knowing that you were there supporting us from the get-go, really, gave us so much impetus and feeling like we had kind of the ground under us so we could move forward. So
And credibility in talking to other partners. It mattered a lot, actually.
it really did. It really helped, to say, okay, HPC is behind this, then, we can really see that this is going to be something that's a worthwhile event. So, I think it's hard to get the word out to people. And I heard from a lot of people, and we thought we were shouting from the rooftops, how do you kind of get the word out there? And I think that that's something we'll want to be working on this year, this coming year, if that's when we do it next time. But it was extremely gratifying to see the day of the event, the kinds of positive responses. Just a couple of examples. Those are really representative examples of what we were hearing. And one woman, this is, I think, my favorite comment on the day of the event. This woman said, she said, this really isn't my kind of a thing. And a friend wanted to go, and she said, wouldn't you go with me? And I thought, I guess I will. And she said she came, and she just had a wonderful time. She learned so much, and it completely changed her image of Ames. And so I think that spoke a lot to me about the power of this event to give an insight to Ames, a positive feeling about the place that we call home, as well as from the historic preservation perspective. What are the ways in which we can add life to and bring life back to those historic treasures in our community? So thank you again so much for all of your support.
Personally, and on behalf of the commission, I would like to extend thanks to Sharon Worth for her expertise and experience in helping and chairing the committee, because we're all kind of new to this, but Sharon really led us into a successful event. And also, Kate did enormous work on the budget. Shelley worked tirelessly on the grant that we got. Alex did the history review. Jason did a lot of the downtown and the mapping information. And so it was really a true group effort. But again, thanks to Sharon for leading us so well to accomplish this. Much appreciated.
Well, and Devon, she was involved too. Don't forget that.
Well, not to that extent. So,
But thank you for your kind remarks. So anyway, thank you for your time tonight. And I just want to encourage you to continue to be engaged with the community, because I think they're very interested in historic preservation and various parts of Ames history. So thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is to consider text amendments to Chapter 31 of the Municipal Code as proposed by the Historic Preservation Commission Subcommittee. Is there, I know last meeting we had kind of tabled the topic until this meeting to have some more discussion, and then maybe take action, maybe not at this meeting. So do one of the subcommittee members want to bring us up to date?
I think we can talk about it a bit. We don't have a formal letter drafted up at this time. Part of that's partially my fault. I had poor follow-up with Melissa on that one, giving her the heads up of everything we talked about during the last meeting. But really, so previously, we had talked, and then Melissa provided kind of a outline to the city staff on the things that we were looking at or considering making changes on. And then last time Parker shared kind of based on their review of that and looking at other city ordinances, kind of their findings on that, or what kind of their first impressions of it was. My take on it was the main sticking point seemed to be that in the stuff that we initially provided, we had mentioned triple pane windows in it, that wasn't appearing in a lot of other cities. So really with that, we talked a bit, and we'd be fine with striking that out of there and just proposing doubles. That's not a big deal to us, I guess, from that standpoint. We're just trying to give more flexibility with it. I think beyond that, and Bob or Melissa can add on if they feel otherwise, but we felt as a committee that we'd be in a spot to kind of move forward with presenting the suggestions that we made to go up to the city from there.
Any other discussion at this point, or suggestions as how you'd like to proceed?
I would like to see us present this to the city council as a recommendation for changing the code.
Yeah.
I think that's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I am, again, I not again, but I apologize for missing
Oh,
the last meeting where we discussed this. But I'm more than happy to, I guess, I read through the minutes from the last meeting, so I have kind of an idea of what was discussed for this. And as Scott mentioned, it's the sticking point being the triple pane glass. And so I'm happy to work on drafting a memo for recommendations for that. That I guess reflect we still want to try to get double pane, I think, indicated in there. And I think there's what we noticed as a subcommittee with there were then additional kind of items that once we say double pane, there might be some additional things that trigger. So I can try to address those as well. Was there anything else that was discussed? I think there was something towards the end about needing to include something about infilling windows. Because
Yeah. I think
Installing
that's-
windows?
Well,
Infilling.
Oh, infill.
Or
Infilling.
infilling where
Yes.
windows
Yeah.
were removed.
Where
or
did
if you're
we
infilling
fall
them open.
anywhere on that, or is that kind of still up in the air? Is that a question? Is that a recommendation for another time? Because that's not necessarily in line with our energy efficiency goal
Yeah.
of this kind of
Yeah.
change, but
That did trigger
just-
this entire
yes.
conversation.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
trying
I'm
to
talking about-
get a good sense of what the breadth of this
Mhm.
memo of recommendation might cover, so that I can be sure to be concise yet thorough.
Well, what we came down on with that final decision about the infill window request
Mhm.
was that if infilling the window is still consistent with the style of architecture, that we would be supportive. So I think if we could word something in that regard, we'd achieve our end and codify the discussion that was held when we addressed that issue. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's the right path.
And the window infill, it makes sense to include it along with the double pane window issue.
In the whole, I think there's I don't know if it's covered under the window section or the infill section. I know there's something about infill someplace in that chapter.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, you have to word
Because
search it.
there's a bunch of, under the Windows section, there's a bunch of bullet points.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where we were suggesting to add the, double pane would be acceptable if it adheres to all the other like design architectural requirements. And so if it's a matter of just adding another bullet in there too, we could do that, but we can definitely
Yeah.
cross-reference to the.
Yeah,
if
we
there's
wouldn't
a-
want to do it under each of the different, Queen Anne's and Victorian, just one
we
general.
want to avoid that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a question for Ray. How should we be formatting this? Would you like to see the city code with the cross this out, add this, that type of thing, or just the general ideas?
Go to that level of detail now. I think, what Melissa's put together in her email, I think that's an appropriate level of detail. To go to the city council and ask for their support, and then they would direct staff to prepare amendments that would do the thing that you're talking about.
Okay, and like definitions for panes and light and that
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but, just basically asking for the support of the council for changing the things that Melissa has outlined in her email.
Says a lot.
Okay.
This is double hung.
So I can work on that to be able to have included for the materials for the next meeting so that we can all review it. And then I assume we would then be able to vote to send it on. Is that something that would need to happen?
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be fine.
Okay. Yep.
That sounds like a good plan. Okay, anything else about item number 6 before we move on? Okay, all right. The item number 7 is the 2026 work plan discussion. We briefly touched on that earlier during the glimpse presentation. And I think we've mentioned before that education is a large part of the purpose or the mission of the commission. So I personally would like to see us to support another year of the glimpse event.
I suggest maybe we bring in the budget to the next meeting,
Right.
whatever we think our draft budget's going to be. It'll be very similar to the last one with some minor adjustments. Let's bring that in. I'll bring it in. And then the group can decide whether they think they want to financially support it, and if so, at what level. Like that. We could also maybe provide a little more detail on where we got our funds, so you can get some more granularity on how we got funded this year and where we think we might or might not qualify for certain grants next year. How would that be?
Yeah, sounds great.
And the one other thing that we've spent money on is for commission members to attend the Preserve Iowa Summit, which is a very worthy educational conference. And so I would urge people who have not attended in the past to consider attending this year. And our budget does include the possibility of some level of reimbursement.
And it's in Ankeny, so it'll make it a lot easier.
So very
If you just want to go down
close.
for one day, it'll be super simple.
Right, it would be completely, we wouldn't have to worry about hotel and
Yeah.
anything like that. So this would be an ideal year to attend if you haven't already, or if you want to go again.
Even just one or two presentations, even if you don't want to do the whole thing, it's very interesting.
It is, and
So
I,
the date's been set for that yet?
It has. I'll bring them to the next meeting. I'll pull down some information, but the date and the location have been set. It was
Or
like
you could
the,
just you'll email it out to us.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, sure will. It's like early June.
It's
Wasn't
the
it early
first
June?
week of June. I
Yeah.
can't remember if
Mhm.
it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
I think.
I'll email it to you. I'll look it up.
Are there specific topics then or emphasis?
I
or-
don't think the agenda
Mhm.
has been published yet, but generally they have some tours and they have some presentations from groups or people who are working on renovation or adaptive reuse projects. And then they have some educational stuff like they will teach you how to do X, Y, Z, so that kind of stuff.
right, presentations from SHPO and resources available. So really a lot of great information.
Yeah, I think it's my understanding, I think the Iowa Economic Development Authority sent out an email about it, and there's still kind of the deadline to like submit proposals for those sessions, I think is coming up. So they won't have those specific sessions finalized quite yet, maybe not till end of winter, early spring, but they send out, I think I'm on the email list for that. So
Great,
you can find out more information in the future.
okay. Other ideas or comments, discussion about the 2026 work plan?
I think we should select another part of chapter 31 to take a look at, because I think the onus is really on us, number one, to keep that chapter, fresh. And maybe also if we got some feedback from the city on where they're getting the most questions or concerns about that chapter, that might be useful. Or maybe those of you who are in practice who have run into the most challenges in that chapter, that might be useful to help us guide whether it's not going to be windows, maybe it could be, I don't know, porches or whatever you want. But I think we ought to just keep working on that chapter.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Yay, nay?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't have thoughts right offhand on what portion of the chapter, but I think, digging into it and kind of selecting is kind of like we did this past year, but selecting a specific area to target on it will kind of keep us on track too on what we want to push and present. So
I would agree with that as well.
Yes, because I think consistent with looking at our work plan from this year, 1, 2, 3, the third like bold text says enhance municipal policies, blah, 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 to, to protect historic resources and implement policies through identification, effective legislation, and efficient regulatory measures. I think that efficient regulatory measures is where we can really, kind of tighten things up a bit. So.
Right, exactly. Okay, anything else on agenda item 7 before we move forward?
Just to piggyback off of that, can we make a note that things be brought to our next meeting? Because this is just a discussion for the work plan, right? And so
Yeah.
we will be voting on things at the next meeting, is that right? Or not till January?
You could vote on things at the next meeting for the work plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, yeah, it would be helpful to, in our materials, have information on what, as Kate mentioned, what is providing the most consternation for folks who are trying to apply, or any confusing aspects that would require some or would benefit from some clarification.
Or if there's
that we
some
can
areas
help
that
with.
people continue to violate more than anything else. It might be nice to know, so we could start to figure out, is there a better way to do this?
The frequent issues, that kind of thing. Yeah, good
So
idea.
some data or some just information from y'all would be great.
Yeah. And then obviously before we finalize the work plan, it'd be nice to have our, at least proposed what our budget for the year is. So we know if we can analyze that and see if we want to ask the city for more or less or stay with it and go from there. So.
Can we get a copy of our budget? Will that come next month also? Do we, is there an HPC budget? Do you, there's a budget line called HPC?
Yeah, I don't know that the budget for the next year has been
I think we're
decided
talking
on
this year.
yet, but each year it's about $2,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
And we could talk next month about other things that you'll need to draw down from that, right?
Hmm.
That's great.
Hmm.
Not you, because you'll be on.
Yeah. I'll watch on TV.
Okay. All right, let's, unless there's additional discussion on
I was
this
just gonna,
topic.
I was just gonna ask one question.
Yep.
On this work plan, are we gonna keep with the same set of bolded items, categories of bolded items? Or are there other ones that should be added? I mean,
Well, that's open for discussion, for consideration, absolutely. So we can keep the same, we can change them, we can add, subtract.
no, they look fine to me. I mean, but I was just wondering if this is kind of the model that you wanna work from.
It has been.
Okay, good.
Doesn't have to be, though.
But it doesn't, yeah, we can change it and, okay, let's then move forward to commission comments. And I would like to present a certificate to Ray Anderson.
Oh. You want me to come up there?
How would the best visual?
Oh, okay.
Do you want to read it, Devon?
Yeah, I think I will. Am I going to be heard okay, or do I need to?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
around the
Shelley, can you hear Devon?
If somebody is watching, maybe a microphone, like somebody.
Oh, yeah.
For the
Yeah.
recording.
Probably need the microphone.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a certificate of appropriateness. The Ames Historic Preservation Commission hereby declares that this certificate is appropriate for the recognition of Ray Anderson's contributions to historic preservation activities for local landmarks and national historic districts within the city of Ames, Iowa, granted on November 10, 2025 to Ray Anderson with many thanks, and great appreciation. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you so much. That's very kind.
Been just essential to the getting things done and our mission. So it's really appreciated. It's been wonderful to work with you and have you be part of the team.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I've enjoyed working with this commission and all the commissions through the years. I started working with the Historic Preservation Commission back in 1989 when it was first created. So I've been the staff representative for that. So now you'll have someone new. But yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I wish you well. And I appreciate the time and effort that you as volunteers put in, and it's made a difference, with this historic preservation in the community, a huge difference. So appreciate all that all of you do and the ones in the past as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray.
I brought some brownies for Ray when we're done. But I burnt them, so eat from the middle.
How'd you know I like chocolate? Yeah.
Just a guess.
All right. Any other commission comments? And all right, I'd like to welcome our newest member to the commission, Mr. McCormick, and greatly appreciate your joining us.
Well, thank you
And
very much. I'm happy to be here. Delighted.
welcome. Thank you. All right. Any other?
I might be jumping the gun here just a little bit, but under if looking ahead, and if they were going to try and do something at the university as well or incorporate something, would there be the chance that they could run a bus back and forth from downtown to the university? Have Cyride for a day, have a bus designated?
Well, Cyride, I used to be on the Cyride board, and so we'd have to pay Cyride to do something like that. But we could, if we got a grant that would cover that, we could use the grant to pay for that.
Mhm.
And so I think it really just depends on how ambitious we want to be.
Okay. So the only other suggestion, I guess, would be for the group that put it on would be, I'm not sure how many people know that the creamery is reopened on the campus in the old Dairy Science Building.
Mhm.
And it's been open now for maybe 5 years,
Mhm.
but that was after being closed for over 50. And there's a fully operational dairy processing facility in that building that you can see. And 90% of the people that live in Ames have no idea that that facility is there, and you can go get an ice cream cone. And I think it'd be neat
Mhm.
to do that. And the next building to the north of that Dairy Science Building, or I think it's called Food Science now, was a landscape architecture building. And it has a very unique kind of a English Tudor look to it. It doesn't blend in with any other building on campus. But years and years ago, that building was a horse stable.
Huh.
And then it became architectural design, I think. But there was two buildings side by side. If you're going to start something, would be kind of an interesting place to start and give the dairy and the creamery a little
Yeah.
boost. And there's parking right across the street at I don't know what the name of it used to be called Women's Gym, but I don't know what it is now. There's
Forecourt.
but there's parking there.
Okay. Right now, just for transparency, we're really talking about two areas, but we've got miles to go before we sleep on this one. One would be the Chautauqua Riverside and Depot, like from Clark West. You could get like this building, the Depot, maybe another building downtown, a church, maybe the First Congregational, and then some of the Chautauqua residences. But I don't know. We are also thinking, well, let's do the university because that's Ames. So those are good ideas for
Mhm.
to kind of be focus points for the university.
Yeah, and the university's got a lot of neat buildings and there's a
Yeah.
lot of history.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just, people do not know about the creamery.
Maybe we should do a field trip to the creamery.
Maybe we should hold our meeting there.
There you go.
Love that idea.
And there's a courtyard in that
Yeah,
building.
It's a neat building.
And I don't think people know about the courtyard.
And Ryman Gardens does sell the creamery ice cream
Oh,
in
yeah.
their gift shop. So,
Farmhouse is right there.
Make sure you get all
Yes,
this in the
it
notes, Laura.
farmhouse, yeah.
Have an ice cream.
Yeah.
All three of those actually, because they're all within walking distance.
Right.
Great. Okay. Ray, here's your chance.
Oh, okay.
Staff comments.
Well, first, welcome to James McCormick, our new member.
Yes.
I'm sorry I only get to work with you for one meeting, but it's a good commission. You'll enjoy it, and you'll learn a lot. And they make a big difference in preservation in the city of Ames. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed working with the commission over the years. This is my last meeting, and like I said, I started with the commission at the initial meeting in 1989, so 36 years ago.
You have any lessons for us? Any advice?
Any
You've seen a
advice?
lot.
Oh, boy, just keep supporting preservation. I think it's important to preserve the historic resources in a community. It gives it that character and that richness and that history. I think it's very important to make efforts to preserve those structures in those districts and designate new areas like we're doing with the new district now. So, yeah, I've enjoyed it. When I started, they told me I was going to work with historic preservation. And I said, what? I didn't know anything about historic preservation. So, but I've learned a lot over the years and have really enjoyed it. And glad I had a chance to work with historic preservation in Ames. And Ames is a great community to work in, and City of Ames, great employer. So I will, they always say the thing that you'll miss the most when you retire are the people. And I would agree. I think I will miss the people the most, more than the work, I'll miss the people. And that includes commission members, board members, council members as well. So thank you very much for the certificate of appropriateness. I just wondered, does it expire? Or
Never.
1 year or no?
Never.
Okay, does not
Life-
expire. Okay,
lifetime.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much for the recognition. I really appreciate it. And wish you well with your work.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we have reached the point of potential adjournment. Is there anything further before I propose to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right, any seconds? All in favor?
I
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.